Hey, I'm Kai Tomas. Welcome to Ludus Ferozia.
Do it! Hurry!
My five-fingered foes. My, what was it again? My feisty, fisty foes. My mitten-wearing Discord kittens. If you've been in the HEMA scene long enough, you know the war of the five-fingered gloves. We have the Thokks. We have the Pro Gauntlets, rest in peace. We have the Infinity Gauntlets. We have the Gabriels. And now, we have the newest generation of the St. Mark Koning Glove. For the better part of a decade, Koning gloves were well known throughout the HEMA scene and kind of polarizing. Some people really liked them, and some people said that they were not adequate for what they were advertised for. I came across the newest generation of St. Mark gloves through their Facebook posts, listing that this five-fingered glove was extremely dexterous and can be used with longsword. That is done through the implementation of small plastic plates underneath a shell of leather and Dyneema. In this review, we are going to put this through the test. I'm gonna let people hit me in the hands with it, I am gonna spar with it, and I'm gonna let my students spar with it over and over again until we can decide if this glove is worth your money. More importantly, is this glove safe to use with weapons like longsword? But enough of me talking, I'm gonna let the steel do the talking. Let's go.
You guys both go. Oh, definitely felt something right here.
Okay, and it was right at the cuff.
Right around here.
And how much pain? One out of 10. What was that?
5.
5. Okay. All right. Good. Where was that?
Right to here. Apparently.
Cool.
Whew.
All right. Where was that?
Right here on the thumb.
And how bad was that?
Thumbnail. Being more like 5 to me.
5. Okay. Is it fight stopping for you, or are you able to fight?
I'm able to fight.
Okay. All right. Let's keep going. These are techniques fetters, so they hit much harder than normal fetters. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch to standard fetters and see if that changes the pain index. Yeah. Okay. Nothing? Okay. All right. And how was that?
Like
2. Okay. All right.
There's a moderate amount.
Is it different from the Gabriels? Like, do you feel less when you get hit there in the Gabriels, or you don't usually get hit there,
I
right?
think it's about the same. Hey, not too much.
Nothing? Yeah, over the top, it's like really guarded.
Yeah.
Now that's with
yeah,
that's with arm guards even on, like, because you have arm guards under that, and you're still
Yeah,
able to. There's a gap right there.
Right here, yeah. I feel like I also try to pull them a bit back because
Mobility.
if they're shoved all the way in, it kind of restricts mobility.
In terms of mobility between your Gabriels, and that, aside from that not being broken in, do you think that this helps with the mobility, or is there no difference with how this is? Like, do you feel like that? That's
Because honestly, the plates, they're kind of loose, so it's very mobile in the wrist. The Gabriels are very loose in the wrist. Not terribly. I think the only thing is if you're trying to push it upwards. That's the only problem.
the further in you go along this arc of the wrist is where I felt the most pain.
so right where the cuff begins, I guess.
Yeah, right where the cuff. Yeah, right where the cuff begins and arm protection.
Gotcha. The wrist protection you think needs to be improved, but you think the rest of it, the fingers seems to be okay?
Yeah, the fingers seem to be okay. But like I said, working with a new pair that needs breaking in, it's going to color my opinion a bit.
That's totally fair.
Yeah, I feel like I have to come back at a later date to tell you how I felt about those versus the dexterity I got with the Gabriels.
With the Gabriels, I think with many of the clamshells, there's like a light inner glove, so it's not protective at all on the inside, but that means it's really easy to slide your fingers in and get to the end. So it kind of feels like there's a bit sticking out on the end, and that's because there's way more protection here. It's thicker material than there is, for example, the Gabriels. So that's why it's harder to close your fist with these than it is with the Gabriels.
Interesting. That's very good to know. Now, they have more size. They have the same kind of sizing that the Gabriels do, where they have tons of sizing. So it could be a size thing. It also could be a breaking in thing with the padding getting a little more like squished. I know that there's very little padding on the Gabriels.
These are XL. Those are also XL. I'm not sure. Maybe an L would fit better on me for these, but I'm not sure because it's already. There's also more pressure closing your hand with these than there is with the Gabriel, and with that smaller glove. Probably be even tighter, but I think it's fine for the most part. I think for two-hand swords, a lot of those problems don't really come into play. I think it's more so if you're trying to get a one-size-fits-all. These are very bulky, and it's hard to fit them into a lot of guards. One-hand swords, which is, to be fair, also the case with the Gabriels, but I think these are even more bulky than the Gabriels.
Now, if you can see, Danny, I think, can open his hand a little bit more because it's less tight than that one.
Yeah, I'm striking.
But yeah, there's a little more articulation, which, I mean, that's the whole point of having a 5-finger glove in the Gabriel. Do this real quick. Let's take a look at that dexterity. There we go. And again, that's probably going to change with this breaking in, but size-wise, make a fist, and then go right next to each other, like literally touch fist. That's the size difference right there. Danny, move your hand like that just a little bit. Yeah, just to do that. So, I mean, they're close. They're really close in size. I wouldn't even say this just has a little more like puff to it.
It's a very minor thing where it's like this might barely squeeze into a certain guard, whereas this, you'll still have your thumb sticking out.
And all right, how was that?
4. Didn't feel anything.
Okay.
It was right here. Didn't feel much.
Okay.
It was across here onto the arm.
Okay. And any?
No, but I think the force was distributed.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and switch gloves real quick, and Angelo's going to give some feedback on how it feels. Where was that?
It was right on the wrist and 2 on the pain scale.
Okay.
Right here.
Okay.
I'll give it about a 4.
It still stings.
And that's through the Gabriel. Where did it hit you on the thumb? Like it through the
right on the nail.
And you could still feel it. Okay.
Above the hand shots, I didn't really feel anything at all.
And I know that these gloves are not broken in yet, but in terms of mobility, did you have any problems with them?
Maybe at first because the spacing between the fingers caught me off guard a little bit. I'm used to having my fingers way closer together. After a couple rounds, I got pretty used to them quick with mobility.
This is a 5-finger glove, and the advantage of a 5-finger glove is more dexterity. If you were to hold the sword and go through the different guards, can you actually articulate your fingers the way you want, or is it too stiff right now to do that?
I actually think I have the dexterity enough to do so.
Are you able to get more dexterity with those than normal clamshells? Just by feeling it out, or and again, they're not broken in yet, but you can be honest. If they're not dexterous coming out of the box, you can say so. But if they are, if you feel like you have the advantage of a 5-finger,
I think they are a bit more dexterous because I'm able to space out my fingers more, especially on the backhand, because I like to spread out my fingers when I'm shifting between guards, and these gloves allow for more of that.
Are you able to thumb the blade with that?
Yeah, thumbing the blade should be no issue, especially if you have shields unlike me.
So overall, the two of you, if someone wanted to go into a high-level longsword tournament with a lot of high-intensity fighters, probably using shilted fetters and not techniques fetters, would you say that they would be safe enough to not walk out with broken fingers?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, and you?
Yeah, I would say so. They should be fine.
With the out-of-box dexterity being so tight, we had to resort to some unconventional tactics.
Moral of the story, bondage makes it better. Yep, so a lot more broken in. All right, so this is how the Koning gloves are fitting in my Siggy Pro Saber, and is that the best you can get in there, or?
Honestly, yeah. I don't think I can really get a hammer grip. So,
I got your sword.
like, if it's with a hammer grip, it's not really tight. Like, I can't push this all the way through.
It's like that with the Gabriels too, right?
Yeah, the big piece of padding on the Gabriels, you can't push it through.
Is that enough to hold on to the sword and use technique properly, or is it not? Like, are you locked, or can you move, or?
Kind of locked. Also, the problem, it's hard to get upright. Like, that's a lot of strain on my wrist to try to get upright because I'm forced into a forward-facing position.
Okay. So right now you're using a Regenier saber with it's like a more open bell guard without the ears, and it fits a little better, right?
Yeah,
Can you go upright?
easily.
So you can go much more upright?
So with the other one, I was basically forced into this kind of position, or like the called saber grip. With this, I can actually get a hammer.
Okay.
That's fine. I didn't feel anything. Oh, a little bit.
Okay.
Probably
So
like a 2,
2, okay.
4, 5.
That was harder. That was okay. Do you think your Gabriels would have been more protective in that? Yeah, let's try it on.
Alright, yeah, that's still I think that's stung even more
Then
than
the Koning. So that where would you put that? Like a 5.6 as well, or 6?
5.6.
And you think maybe a little bit more than the Koning?
Yeah.
So they seem like they're kind of on par except for the cuff. Like the cuff seems like on the Koning, on yours, on the Gabriels, like if I come over to the side, this is more protected than the Koning,
Yeah.
which is soft, right? There's nothing in it. So, and this was supposed to be hardened. There was supposed to be something hard right here that floated above there, kind of like a lacrosse glove, but there's nothing hard in there, right? It's just kind of like a cloth piece.
I don't think I can, like, this finger is protruding a lot more. It's harder to get inside.
That might change with some break-in, but I know that they're bigger. There's more pad. So like there's more of a danger of that getting hit like that. I'm gonna try just that inside half circle again.
I felt that I got hit, but I didn't feel any pain from it.
Okay.
If you guys want to be more awake and support our channel, consider buying Duelist Elixir coffee. This coffee is made from beans roasted here in the Outer Banks and sourced from Papua New Guinea. It tastes great, it wakes you up. Does it make you a better fencer? Who knows?
All right, this is a Viking sword, so it's a chunky boy. It hits pretty hard. So we're just gonna do some stuff on the knuckles. Go ahead. That was okay. Go do it again. That's nothing. I don't feel anything. That's a 0. That's like a 2 out of 10. 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. Well, that's like a 5 out. That's 5 or 6, and that was right here on that part. But I mean, it's manageable. Do it again. Yeah, that's like 3 out of 10. I don't know. I feel like 3 out of 10 on that. So far, so good. I would trust it with a broader blade like that one. And stop. You just use the Koning gloves in a sword and buckler fight. How did they protect your hands?
Everything felt fine, no injuries.
How was the pressure coming in? Was it painful or was it okay?
You noticed it, but it wasn't pain. And he got me a lot on the hand, so
Would you say that those work pretty well for sword and buckler?
yeah, you can, compared to the other gloves, you can feel things and move your fingers and your wrists more.
Pretty good. All right, I'm here with Ian. Ian typically wears these Thokk gloves, and I've actually never worn the Thokk gloves before, but mobility-wise, This was pretty stiff until we did the whole zip tie treatment to it. Now, to me, it feels on par with a well-broken-in Thokk Glove. But Ian, how does it feel to you? Since you fight in these every day, are they less, are they more to you? What do you think?
Just, I think, due to the added armor of this stuff, these say they're longsword rated, need a little bit of an add-on to get me comfortable enough with steel messer. But these, due to the added armor, are a little bit more less flexy, less forgiving at the joint, but you can feel where the armor plates are bridging over and being really protective on these.
Does it feel more, like I haven't fought in them yet, but do they feel more protective to you just from what you can feel?
Yes, and just how they are articulating, because those don't have the bridging, articulating joints that these do.
This offers no protection at all. He hit me there, and you can see where it hit me on my hand. I didn't feel different. It is. Again, that covers me nothing. This right here. Every time he hits me anywhere near here, even on that belt, I can feel it in my wrist.
Yeah, it was on the finger. All right, one more. Ready?
Anytime I get an impact, it pushes this further together and claws it. So inside of my little thumb meat there. Oh yeah, you can see it. Starting to rip skin off. I don't know why I'm having that problem.
I think you and I have different sized hands because it doesn't affect me like that.
So what do I think about the St. Mark Koning Gloves? I think that there needs to be improvements made for this glove to compete with all the others out there. On the protection side, these are about on par with the latest Gabriel Gloves. They protect from longsword up until the wrist. The plates seem to be well distributed, and nobody who wore them during sparring got injured at all. They withstood impacts from even our thicker VB Sword Shop Techniques fetters, which most tournaments don't even use. With the use of a standard fetter with a thinner blade, everybody was fine with them. Unfortunately, there are some saber designs that these gloves will not fit in, which is a main reason people buy these gloves. They want them to be able to fit in a multitude of different types of sword hilts. There were certain saber hilts that these did fit in, and there were certain saber hilts, such as my Siggy Pro, that this would not fit well in. So that is due to the fact that these are still quite bulky. Appearance-wise, I do think that these are really nice looking gloves. They're just kind of big. Let's talk about dexterity. It's the main reason people buy 5-fingered gloves over clamshells and mittens. This glove did not come as dexterous or as loose as advertised. Even after going through the Ziptie, Shibari, and countless bouts of sword fighting, these gloves are still stiff, especially around the pinky and the index finger. I'm having trouble getting these fingers to touch all the way on the other side of the glove, which shouldn't be a problem, and that is going to cause strain on the hands because my hands have to constantly fight being forced open. More break-in will tell if this is going to fix, but I don't believe that a glove should come this stiff and stay this stiff this long. So St. Mark, if you are looking to make improvements on this as a 5-fingered glove, I say the biggest thing that you guys should be working on is that dexterity out of box. My final complaint on this glove is the wrist protection. When St. Mark was advertising this glove in the beginning, this part of the glove right here was supposed to be rock solid.
Oh, there's a really firm padding over here, so like great wrist protection as well, which was missing from the older version, I think. Like this part is pretty soft, but then this part is actually rock hard. So like we cop a pretty heavy strike towards the wrist.
This isn't. This is squishy, and while padded, isn't going to do much against a hard longsword blow. If I'm not wearing any arm guards underneath, and actually even if I am wearing an arm guard underneath, there's still a gap between the plating here and this. If they were to implement some form of internal hard plating that is in slats going like that, so that way this remains fluid, I think that that would be a huge improvement. And if this floating band, which is held on by Velcro, meaning it can be removed and changed, and I'll just take it off so you guys can see, this piece right here, if this had some sort of internal rigid Kydex or hard plastic or even like a copper ring on the inside or something, this would greatly improve the protection of the wrist, but because it floats on these two pieces of Velcro right here, it isn't going to affect the movement of the wrist at all. So do I think the St. Mark Koning Nobilis Gloves is worth your money at around $300 plus shipping? I would say not until this is fixed, this part specifically. I do believe that this will get more dexterous with time, the more that you work the glove in, so that can be fixed with just using the glove. But this part, the protection of the wrist, cannot be fixed. This has to be addressed in the latest generation, and St. Mark has been in touch with me and told me that they are starting to make improvements on the glove already. I don't really know what that means yet, but I'm hoping that they do address some of these protective issues so that people can fence safely in these gloves. I would really like to see this dexterity increase out of box, because that is the whole reason people buy 5-finger gloves. Otherwise, we'll just stick with our clamshells. And if there is a way to lower the profile to fit into some other types of sword hilts, I think that that would greatly increase the amount of people wanting to buy these gloves in the future. If you guys want to learn about historical European martial arts, consider training with us at our schools in Norfolk, Virginia and in Fredericksburg. We have 2 separate locations, and you can check us out and our schedules at our website, www.historicalfightingarts.com. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Bye.